Thanks for staying with us. So President Muhammadu Buhari at the 2021 Global Education Summit made a statement concerning education qualification. According to him, he said you cannot succeed outside your educational qualification. Now, somehow this has created different kinds of reactions from Nigerians. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Why were people concerned about what he said? Why were we surprised by that statement? You can join the conversation on 081-270-53687. You can also call us on 091-390-76948. You can tweet to us. You can send us messages on YouTube. And Nima will be happy to read your tubes and your Facebook messages. Now, so he hasn't said anything different. Of course, we all know that education is paramount to success and that you can't achieve much outside of education. But for some reason, Nigerians are concerned about a few things. Number one, why does our president have to wait to go to the UK to make these kind of statements? And these are the kind of statements you expect him to speak to Nigerians about or tell us continuously, number one. Number two, why is he telling us what we already know? Why is he not saying, why are we not seeing the action of this knowledge at home? And why would somebody who probably didn't take education, possibly didn't take education that seriously, be the one saying this? So people are saying, oh, because there was an issue with this school certificate back and forth with at the time of election, so he doesn't have the moral justification to make that kind of statement. So there are different angles to this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Like, he's stating the obvious, obviously, but why did this become such a controversy, a major conversation on social media and everywhere? Let me come to you. Would like to start.
Okay, so before we came on, I was chatting with Mariam that we always complain that when we listen to our leaders and we listen to our government officials, we wonder who are they. We hear them lament. Like, we lament, we ask them questions, and we hear them lament. We wonder who is in charge, because the idea of a leader is to say the solutions, say what you're working on, not to lament that the numbers. The president is not new to Nigeria's population. He knew the population before becoming the president, so he knew that there was going to be problems. The educational sector was already in rot before he got there, so he knew the challenges he was going to meet. My expectation was that going there, he made a promise, because I followed actively his first campaign and I campaigned for him, so I knew education was part of what he was going to do to stem the challenges with this country. But after I came into government, a few years after, he was interviewed by BBC and also by Al Jazeera, and I recalled him saying that people traveling abroad for education is because they can afford it, that all fingers are not equal. Some people will be able to afford it, some people cannot afford it, and those that can afford it shouldn't be withheld from getting the best education. So the president apparently understands the importance of education, and he has allowed those that are affluent to get the best outside the country, and he hasn't, for me, prioritized financing education to the best of its of what can lift Nigeria up within Nigeria. Now, he said that nobody can succeed without education. Obviously, education is our ticket out of poverty. That's how we get enlightenment. But how well have you educated people from your state, sir? What has been the improvements in terms of statistics of girl child education across states in Nigeria between when you came into power and now? If the statistics don't favor improvement, then you have failed us with in terms of education in Nigeria, because even with insecurity challenges alone, many people have dropped out of school. Right. So in terms of education, sir, President Buhari, you have failed us. Okay,
come to Mariam, your thoughts, because, I mean, part of what he said was that he actually pledged to increase the budget, from that same event.
6 years into government.
So they're going to double it. I think 50% in next 1 year, and I think double by
2025 will be 100% increase in the budget towards education. He's done 50% so far. But, you know, there's one thing about policy, one thing about numbers, but that does not reflect in reality. So we'll hear these numbers, and yet we'll go around schools in different parts of the country and we'll see rundown facilities, children not in school. Of course, we have the issue of security, where many children in the Northeast are at home or are kidnapped. I mean, we're talking about education today, and we're talking about it alongside many children who have been kidnapped from school. So we really have a major issue. And I would prefer to hear a response that talks about how we're dealing with it, to hear the positive outcome of what we have done so far in real life, not just in numbers, not just in policy. So another thing is, to be fair, I guess the question that was asked of him, maybe they had asked other questions, we would have heard other answers, but the question was, you know, and he was responding to that. And he understands that Nigerians take education seriously.
Right.
And we also, but many times I always question if the government, many administrations, not this one, even before now, if we're purposely and deliberately sabotaging education because we do not want the electorate to be educated enough to make informed choices when it comes to the election, because in real life, it just does not make sense.
I hear that, but you see, if you work around the educational sector, you hear some factors. I mean, this issue of education is pretty layered. So you hear things like there aren't teachers. Nobody wants to go into school and graduate as a teacher. So I can't get quality teachers anymore because nobody wants to teach. The other wants to just do business admin or not. They're all
How do you attract them?
So that's one thing. You even train the ones that are available. You train them, and yet they still don't take that profession seriously. That's one. On one hand, the government has also tried to introduce a school feeding program to even to make encourage and give them incentives to come to school. But the kids come to school, they eat, and then they go back. So there's a lot of vicious cycle going on. So it's pretty layered. I mean, no government would want to see the country not educated. But those layers of issues are so difficult. Let me just give one fact.
The budget for education in 2021 is the lowest budget that has been given to education in 10 years. Fact. So if the president is aware of how terrible the situation is, and yet in this 2021, after 2020, where everybody knew that school system was down, you now create a budget for 2021 and you give education the least amount of money it has gotten in 20 years when it ought to be recovering.
I think the explanation
after
of that was
2020.
COVID, recovery, and everything. So a lot of funds.
Nima, your thoughts on this? Because I was going to.
I would just say now wash that kind of street language for everything said at that conference. It's almost the same. So once you're in office, you prepare a speech. You go, you give the world, the international players, the impression, I have my country's problems under my hand, or working on it, or doing it is going to happen. So if all the gains we do in education, let's just focus on education, we take one step forward, we take 10 steps backwards. We see the schools, back-to-school program that we planned, the Northeast School, whatever, what was that policy at the time promoted, funds raised. And then we watched the insecurity that got us there in the first place take over so bad that now parents in that region or in the entire North now would rather keep their kids at home and safe than send them to a school and have the Bethel example play now.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the Islamia school in Niger State play now. Parents are afraid to send their kids to school, and we say on a world stage that our intention is to, you know, our problem is the large numbers of Nigeria. We have this and this. These are what no matter the policies you're doing, and I think that government is not deliberate about the policies when it comes to education. Every government, federal particularly, and some state governments do not have a deliberate plan, because if you put it in plan, people will enter school not with the intention to blow and find the jobs where the IS payers go. They would love to pursue their passion if they think that they will be, you know, commensurated, or whatever motivation they get from, they are expecting from those big jobs will come to their way. So how much do we exactly pay a teacher?
Okay,
what is the level teacher earning? What exactly do they get housing? Do they get, you know, what exactly what incentives do we give them? How do we encourage people to go into the education field?
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're talking about education, and I mean, another angle is the fact that education has always been on the concurrent list, meaning that both the federal and the states can legislate. And many have said that's a problem because education really is local, where you can have state governments can use their resources and allocate resources specifically for education, especially for basic education, you know. And that has been a problem where you have to wait at Abuja. Abuja gives you the curriculum that you want to adopt. Abuja is the one that decides how you allocate certain kind of funds. So these are part of the issues in education. So that's why I said it's multi-layered, and we need a whole disintegration of what we have currently and rebuilding of the educational sector. And when the president used all these rhetorics internationally, it makes you think, is there a plan? It's not about increasing budgets. It's not about it's about going back to rethink the entire structure of education in Nigeria.
So one of the current challenges we've been having back and forth for many years, and worse within this current administration, is the strike. the ASUU strike. So there's UTAS, there's IPPIS. Between IPPIS and UTAS, between a minister and a group of ASUU officials, we are unable for years to agree. For me, it's a case of the president has said, the minister sort it out, and the minister has been unable to sort it out. What would happen if the minister cannot sort it out? What would happen if you keep going on strike? Why would somebody have a misfortune of going to a Nigerian university and spend 6 years doing a 4-year course?
Why is it a misfortune?
Why is it a misfortune?
Nigerian universities, people
all of you went to. Why is it a misfortune now to go to misfortune to enter a public university?
Thank you for taking us there, Tucker, because if technology is a problem, if ASUU is insisting on UTAS, then can we ensure that with the federal government have some access to UTAS? So if you are worried that, they're going to use to manipulate some figures, you to make sure you have access to the back end. I mean, why is it so difficult for them to come to an agreement on UTAS?
For the people and for the people.
By the people.
It's not, are you not government for the people? So ASUU is a select few of the people. You've created a problem-solving app for them. If your people are not the key players there and you don't want to offend them, you want to give them that contract, ASUU gave you an alternative that this is what we want to guide us. You take the UTAS, you go back to the table, you look at whatever is missing that is in the IPAPIS and you install it in UTAS and we are floating and everybody's fine and happy.
But Nima, does that make sense as an employee? No, can you today tell your employer that, this is the way I want you to pay me?
Unfortunately, when your employers are your elected office holders, you can have say. It is not a private business.
Yes.
It is not your private company where I cannot have say. It is ASUU and your federal government.
Besides, NNPC is not on IPPIS. So some subsidiaries, they took them out.
Created their own.
Yes.
So take what ASUU is giving you, pick whatever is missing from IPPIS and solve the problem. And all of us will move out from that story from the paper. We can read other things. But every morning we come here, we are reading it again. What's happened? Now they are threatening a strike. They just came back from a strike. People are in school, they don't know when they will graduate. And all you're busy about is sitting at a table every day, both of you fighting, slapping each other. Well, no, there's no way forward.
Let me take this call, then I'll come to Mariam. Good morning, are you there? Hello? Hello, good morning. Okay, I think we lost that. Go ahead, Mariam.
Okay. So talking about, solving these issues, just this morning we're talking about doctors as well, where it seems that the government will come to a table, have a conversation, and then they leave and forget about the agreement that they came to. So during the World Teachers Day in 2020, remember our president made some promises to teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And a year, 18 months after, those promises have still not been
implemented.
So we had review of their salary scale as well as the retirement age, which was supposed to increase from, I think, 60 to 65 years. Nothing. So that's another thing. You cannot every time have a conversation. That's why we have the words, we have the right English. We say it, we know when to say to a group of people so that they hail us and clap for us. Then when it's time to do the work, we do not do the work. We come out and say there's a process. Maybe you should have finished it before you announced it. So that people, my problem is that it just seems that we're not really interested in doing the work. We're just interested in getting all sorts of adulation and, but to do the work. And the thing is, it will pay us better to do the work. It will look better for an administration to do the work. Wherever you go, that will be your legacy. I mean, if it's one thing that you do, but constantly, everything we do, every sector of our economy, everywhere, everyone's just talking. No one is doing the work.
Let me take this call because I have to wrap up on this. Good morning, Mr. Bakole. Are you there? From Italy. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Mr. Obakole from Italy. Are you there? Okay, so Nima, I think you're
let me do my final words. I remember, and I always quote his manifestos. The president, when he was coming into power, promised us 3 things. He promised us security, that he was going to deal with insecurity. He was going to deal with corruption. Thank you. And those are the first 2. And then economy. And the first 2 things that we'll use as metrics to judge him, if we actually want to judge him, if he wants to be judged, like if we do unbiased, like let's be very, very strict, is F. If there's anything after F, we will get it, because things have really gotten worse. And I think when the president gets this information, not as a criticism, but as a feedback for him to re-strategize and rejig his team.
Another thing that we said during the break, and I'd like to say it on air, is that there's a perception that, oh, our president is old, he's frail, he does his own system. No, he spoke very well at that conference. He was very articulate.
Yes.
We heard his English clearly, crisply. So, Mr. President, talk to us.
As in,
we don't want to have that perception that, oh, he doesn't like talking to people. You know, the kind of leadership, he's the kind of guy that empowers his team to do the work. He doesn't, God, talk to us.
Like the way
this thing you're telling them in the UK, tell us as frequently as you can. We want to hear from you directly.
There's also this part of how posterity remembers you. So I don't understand how it's easy for you to make promises, gather people, make promises, you know, promise to change things, or you don't think things through, you make empty promises that you know you are not going to, you know from the day you are making it, that you know, let them just go, let them just take this one and be going. I don't understand how you do leadership like that. You leave office and people come and remind you that you were the best leader, and the thing did not prick your conscience that I knew I was the worst human being to have, you know.
So in summary, I think what we're saying is that when our leaders go out to speak, or when you address us from the point of what you are doing.
Yes.
Or what you've done.
Yes.
Not say, oh, education.
Don't lament with us. Don't lament with us.
Yeah, don't lament. Lament your private meetings.
We are lamenting
when you
already.
talk to us like solution providers.
Yes.
Exactly.
Not
Like
lament,
leaders.
like
Visionary leaders.
Yes, who are doing things. Not that they're lamenting to us. Let us do the lamenting.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, another hot topic, but we have somebody in the building to help us shed some light on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.